On last class, we talk about the index function นะครับ the index function นะครับ in that is a part of the lookup references นะครับ um, so for the index function that we learned on last class we had two different formats of index function นะครับ depends on how do you have the data นะครับ how do you have the data or how scatter the data นะครับ so you can see that when we go to the index function นะครับ the index function here you can see that the arguments that index function has is index with dot dot dot. That means index has more than one possible list of arguments นะครับ more than one possible list of arguments. So in this one นะครับ you can see that when we talk about the first argument นะครับ sorry let me talk about like the basic the description of the index function first for the index function it will be used to return a value นะครับ or reference นะครับ of the cell that at the intersection of particular row and column in a given range that means you need to know the position นะครับ in the relative table that you created in the list of arguments นะครับ which row and which column that the index function sorry that you would like to have and after that index function will pick that value for you นะครับ so in this case นะครับ when we talk about the first argument you can see that index function has altogether two possible lists of arguments the first one นะครับ array row num and column num will be used when only when you have just one table นะครับ one table นะครับ while the second one นะครับ reference row num column num and area num is the second possible list of arguments whenever you have like more than one table นะครับ in the relative set of table that we have นะครับ so the example that we had on last class was that for the first list of argument it is used when you have like the possible set of table like this just one table only นะครับ so you have rows and column that you would like to have นะครับ in the first example we had 5 rows but one column then if you would like to get the data you have to specify that okay the array is this table you just like drag to create the table location in your index function and then specify the row number and column number from this table that you would like to have while the second example I showed you for the array that consists of more than one row and more than one column and then you just specify which row and what column that you would like to get the data from นะครับ while the third example in here นะครับ you can see that we had more than one table in this example we had like 3 tables scattered around these worksheets นะครับ so in this one when you would like to get the data from these table นะครับ when you know where the data is located you may be able to use the index function นะครับ because in this one นะครับ you have to specify the area of the table like we have 3 different tables นะครับ in this set of data so don't forget that the important thing for the index function when you have the range format นะครับ range format means that you have more than one table in the list you have to specify or you have to enter the parenthesis นะครับ to close นะครับ to close between the set of table that you have นะครับ because otherwise if you don't surround these tables นะครับ or this range by the parenthesis it will cause the error นะครับ and after that you specify row number column number that you would like to get and area num means that okay how many tables that you have in here. For example, you have you specified 3 different tables นะครับ the first one is area number 1, second one is area number 2, and so on นะครับ if you have 10 tables in the reference, the location of the area that you specify is the table number or area number that you have to specify in the index function นะครับ that was the index function that we learned from last class. So today นะครับ today we are going to talk about the next topic in Microsoft Excel. This topic นะครับ we will talk about the auto filter and advanced filter นะครับ and pivot table in Microsoft Excel. So everyone นะครับ I will just like open up the file for you in e-learning. So let me just check first. Okay, so now it's activated already. So everyone please go to your e-learning นะครับ Okay, you will see a file here, pivot table data file นะครับ download that file. We are going to use this file นะครับ for the next topic นะครับ Okay, so for the file that we downloaded นะครับ once you open up you see the data like this. Before I talk about this file นะครับ let me just like talk about this yellow line. This one นะครับ is important. You have to be careful when you see the yellow line like this นะครับ it said product protected view. So don't do anything นะครับ before you manage this warning from Excel. Actually for the protected view here, it protects us นะครับ from like viruses นะครับ and the vulnerability in your computer นะครับ because I mean like normally somebody might send you a file and you don't know whether it's safe or not นะครับ if you are not sure นะครับ just check first that who sent this file to you. If it's safe นะครับ you can open it, but if you are not sure just like use the virus scanner to scan for this file first นะครับ so right now okay it's safe, okay, it's from me, okay, in here you have to click enable editing, otherwise you can't do anything นะครับ for example if you double click and you type anything it doesn't work at all นะครับ you have to click enable editing first นะครับ in the past นะครับ or in other version of Excel right now I'm using Excel 2016 version นะครับ so that it will be compatible with the one in the computer lab in our campus. But for any of you who use the previous version นะครับ before 2016 version of Excel, if it shows the yellow bar or yellow line like that and you didn't do anything นะครับ you could type everything in but you couldn't save. And many users complain to Microsoft company that when it's allowed the users to type everything in but you can't save. If you save, it will force you to click enable editing first, and once you clicked on enable editing it delete everything that you type in. So now Microsoft changed its policy that okay it doesn't allow you to type anything in, so that you will not unfortunately or accidentally type anything in and cannot save. Now you can't enter anything unless you click on enable editing. Right now when you click enable editing already you see the file like this นะครับ okay, so right now I hope that you open two Excel file together นะครับ one is my worksheet, the other one is pivot transaction. We will copy the pivot transaction file into our my first book worksheet นะครับ so I'll teach you how to copy the worksheet from one file to another file นะครับ okay, let me just show you first how do we gonna do that. Firstly นะครับ firstly you have to open those two files together. One is my worksheet, the other one is pivot transaction file นะครับ second one นะครับ you go to the tab นะครับ sheet 1 tab of pivot transaction file here, right click and then choose move or copy นะครับ. The way that we do, we will not copy the whole worksheet นะครับ and paste and go to my first book and paste it. No, we don't do like that นะครับ we will just like use the proper way to copy นะครับ so we right click at the sheet tab นะครับ sheet 1 tab here and then choose move or copy. Next you click create a copy นะครับ you click create a copy and then you just like click on the drop down list and click on my first book นะครับ so you can see that in here it just like it will appear it will display all of the worksheet that my first book has นะครับ you just click OK ครับ then you can see that in my first book it has a sheet 1 นะครับ that inside it is the content of like the pivot data sheet นะครับ data file. Okay, let me show you once again นะครับ firstly you have to open two files นะครับ you have to open two files all together นะครับ okay let me just like delete the old one first. Okay. You have to open two files, pivot transactions and my first book นะครับ that means a destination that you would like to copy this file to this worksheet to นะครับ and the original worksheet that you have in pivot transaction. After that นะครับ we right click on the sheet tab and choose move or copy. Then you click create a copy. Choose drop down list and go to my first book นะครับ then you see the list of the worksheet that we have in the my first book file นะครับ make sure that you click create a copy นะครับ otherwise it will move this worksheet to another workbook permanently นะครับ then you click OK. Once you click OK นะครับ you can see that in my first book นะครับ now it's on my first book workbook already. You can see that it appears sheet 1 in my first book นะครับ that means the copy is successfully done. It copies everything นะครับ in the sheet 1 into this file นะครับ okay now นะครับ let's change the name of the sheet 1 นะครับ we will rename sheet 1 นะครับ to be pivot data fileนะครับ okay so what are we going to learn นะครับ today the first one นะครับ we will talk about the features in Microsoft Excel that we call filter นะครับ filtering นะครับ data filtering. Second one we use this data set for pivot table นะครับ and also we will talk about the concept of data visualization that consists of dashboard and slicer นะครับ dashboard and slicer by using this set of data นะครับ we will talk about the data filtering first นะครับ what is data filtering? Data filtering is the way that we just like screen นะครับ and show the data according to the criteria that you want to see นะครับ or call it easily we call it as filter the data นะครับ normally when you would like to filter the data we filter the data by different columns that we have นะครับ so what does it mean? When we would like to do the data filtering normally on this set of data you can filter by its item, by the store, by the cost or by the week นะครับ depends on what you want. You can see that in here if you filter the item it means that it will show just like the item that you want to see นะครับ another example of that is if you just like filter by store you will see only the store that is specified in each record or in each row นะครับ same as cost and week นะครับ but sometimes some of the filtering on some column might be useless for you. For example, you can see that in this example, the cost is varied. If you just like filter by some cost, for example, if you would like to filter by the cost that is $3.50, it might look strange, because you may just like see lots of records that are not related to each other at all. So you have to see what column that you would like to filter first, before we do it. Okay, so let me explain this set of data first. Before we can do the filtering, you have to understand your data first. If you just scroll down, this worksheet, you can see that it consists of 40 different records of data. What are they about? If you have a look, you can see that it should be the records of data where we purchase different products from different store, with different costs in different week. So you can see that if we see column A, it's the item, we purchase a lot of products. In column B, if you have a look, you can see that we have just like two different values that are safe path and whole wallet. That should be the supermarket that we purchase the product from. We purchase these products from two different supermarkets only. Different products have different price. And finally, for the week, you can see that in here it's week 1 to week 4. So that means this set of data should be the transaction of the products that we purchase from different store that are safe path and whole wallet during a month. So because it has like week 1 to week 4. Now we are going to do the filtering. For example, if we would like to see the data, or the records or transactions, of the products, without having the to see the product where we purchase it from whole wallet. Let's see, where we purchase from whole wallets. So in this one, you can see that when we talk about this, suppose we would like to see the data that we purchase from whole wallet only. We purchase from whole wallet only. If you don't know anything about the filtering, what does people do? What do people do? They may sort the data instead. So if they sort, what will happen? Before we sort the data, let's do like this together first. So everyone just insert a new column for me. So to insert a blank column, I want to insert a blank column in front of column A. Then you click the whole column A first, right click, and then choose insert. Then it will be column A, the new column A, that is a blank column. Then you just like name this column as running number. So that we can just like go back to the original state of data. You just type running number 1 and 2 here, and then you just like go to drag these numbers to get like all of the data here that are the running number from number 1 to number 39. Okay, and I'll show you something. Okay, so in this one, I will show you that for somebody who doesn't know how to filter the data, we will do like this. They will highlight every record, and then start sorting it. So if you remember, when we would like to sort, we go to data, sort, and then we will sort the data by store because we want to know the data from whole wallet. Right now I uncheck my data has header first because I exclude the headers. sort by column C นะครับ okay and then we click OK you can see that now all the transactions that we purchase from whole wallet will be together but what's the problem you can see that in here the data is changed permanently record 12 to record 20 to record 22 is moved down already นะครับ so that means if you want to just like bring it back to the original position นะครับ you can't do it anymore because you just like sort the data already นะครับ but I mean like for somebody they say that I want to use this data and then you cut it out to do something else okay that's up to you นะครับ but for this one you have to know that once you sort the data it changed permanently นะครับ you can't bring it back especially you save this file and forward this file to other people once they open it up the data is in here already they will not see the original data anymore นะครับ okay so that's why sometimes if we just like want to see some data for example we want to see the transaction we purchased from whole wallet only and later on we want to just like go back to the original state so that other people can use this set of data we will not sort the data like that นะครับ okay let's bring the data back to its original state นะครับ we will sort it back นะครับ we will sort it back now we sort by column A that is running number นะครับ that is running number smallest to largest okay now everything goes back already somebody said that hey can we just like use undo yes you can but I can tell you that in the future if you send this file to other people or if you just like save this file and close it once you reopen this file again you can't undo anymore นะครับ so that's why just like this is the trick that I usually use I insert a new column and then put the running number first before I sort this kind of data so that if I sort it and I finish using it already I will just like go back to the original state of data okay now we have the idea for sorting already that somebody may sort it now let's see filtering as I told you earlier when we filter the data we filter the data by column นะครับ then you have to choose what column that you would like to filter first นะครับ normally when you filter the data you have to filter the data in the consecutive columns or the continuous column for example if you want to filter by column item and store you can do it but if you would like to filter the data by item and by cost you can't do it นะครับ because filter will have to work only the consecutive columns only so if you would like to filter by item and cost the thing that you have to do is that you have to choose item store and cost something like that นะครับ and then you just like don't filter store just that once you really have to sort just choose item or cost only okay so right now we will filter นะครับ by 4 columns item to week นะครับ so everyone just highlight column item to column week นะครับ column B to column E right now after that นะครับ once you highlight all columns that you would like to filter already we go to data tab and then you see sort and filter right you choose filter now it's done นะครับ filter is activated already so how do you know that which column นะครับ can be filter or activated the filtering features right now the things that I want you to see is that if you have a look on the first row of that column it appears this symbol นะครับ a square with a small triangle like this this one means that you are filtering you activate the filtering for that column นะครับ okay so now when you activate the filtering for that column already, how can you filter นะครับ we will click on this square button นะครับ on each column. For example, if you want to see any products that you purchase from whole wallet, you click on store นะครับ now you can see that there are in the box here it said save path whole wallet and select all. Right now select all means that it shows everything นะครับ every single records in your data set นะครับ and then also it ticks, that means it ticks on save path and whole wallet for you. But if you want just whole wallet only, you have to untick the select all first and tick on whole wallet นะครับ after that you click OK. So this one it will filter นะครับ it will filter just the records นะครับ that appears whole wallet in column C นะครับ and then you don't worry that the original state of data will be gone นะครับ this one the filtering can be just like not undo, I say that it can reverse to the original state of data later on นะครับ and then you can do anything with this data. So for example, if you have like whole wallet that is just what to say whole wallet that here hang on, let me see this one, you can see that in this row นะครับ row 23 นะครับ you can see that it jumps to row 35 in here, you see that because right now filter feature hide unrelated rows in between นะครับ if you want to copy this data นะครับ you can copy straight away, it will not copy the hidden rows for you. Okay, let me just like show you, I copy and then I paste ครับ okay, like this one, hang on, I copy this one, two of them together here. You can see that it just copied 2 rows for you only. For row 24, 25 to 34, it will not be copied. So that means when you use filtering features already, anything that you see on the screen, once you copy, it just copy those kind of those records or those rows only นะครับ okay. So okay, what is the next thing that I want you to see in the filter? If you want to know that whether right now you are filtering some data or not นะครับ you have 2 places to notice. The first one, if you see that some rows are hidden นะครับ or collapse like this one, like row 23 and row 35, that means row 24 to 34 are hidden here, so it's possible that it's filtering. Next one นะครับ just have a look on the square with a triangle นะครับ if you have a look, there will be one different symbol here. If you have a look on column C right now, you will see a funnel symbol here with a triangle. When the funnel here, when the funnel shape appears in any column, that means you are filtering by that column. In this example, you are filtering by store. That's why the store column is showing for the funnel shape symbol here, funnel shape symbol here. Okay, so right now when you filter นะครับ when you filter, you can also filter more than 1 column at a time. That's why we highlight many filter to many columns. For example นะครับ apart from filtering by store, you want to know that when we purchase a product from whole wallet, do we purchase, hang on, let me see, do we purchase eggs นะครับ in whole wallet for more than 1 record or not? Or we say that okay, I want to know that how many times I purchase egg from whole wallet นะครับ okay, then we choose whole wallet first These are all transactions that we purchase from whole wallet. Then you go to item. It will list all of the products that we purchase from whole walletนะครับ because we are applying the store right now. So the item that is displaying will be the item that we purchase from this store. Then we just choose untick the select all and then choose eggs and then click OK. You can see that in here we purchase eggs from whole wallet 2 times from whole wallet 2 times. And you can see that the usefulness of using this filter, we found that when we purchase eggs from whole wallet, the price is different because in week 2 we purchased for $6.99, while in week 4 we purchased for $8.50. That is more expensiveนะครับ Okay, so right now if you have a look on the funnel shapeนะครับ, you can see that right now we are filtering by 2 columnsนะครับ store item and storeนะครับ item and storeนะครับ. This is the filtering. So if you want to resetนะครับ, or cancel the filtering, what are we going to do? In this oneนะครับ, if you see store hereนะครับ, and then you just like tick on select all, it will choose save path and whole wallet. So the meaning for this one means that how many times you purchase X from different store, because the store is like all store already. Okay. And if you would like to cancel the filtering for X, you just click on that funnel shape and then choose select all once again. So it shows everything and all the data is in original state. You can see that how do I know that the data is still in original state? I see from the running number, it's still sorted properly from 1 to 39 นะครับ. So it's different from sorting because the regular sorting will change the position of the record layout permanently. But filtering, when you just like cancel the filter, it goes to the original state of dataนะครับ. It goes to original state of data in hereนะครับ, like this one. So when I just cancel it, it has the original state of data. So that means in the futureนะครับ, if somebody send an Excel file to you and you feel like, hey, why this set of data have just like few records show on the screen only. One suspect thing is that you have to think maybe they filter something and send it to youนะครับ. So sometimes the filteringนะครับ, when somebody filter and send that file to another person, they may want another person to know that, okay, to see that set of data only. So that's why they filterนะครับ. For example, if I say that I just like choose whole wallet filtering for you and then I send it to you, this one, it might be my intention that I want to show you for the products that we purchase from whole wallet onlyนะครับ. So that's why I just like filter and send this file to you. So the next thing is that if you want to clear all the filter, if you don't want to filter anymore, what should we do? You just go to data and then click on filter once again. It clear out all of the filtering features that we used before. The square with a triangle of every single column will be goneนะครับ. It means that right now we use no longer filterนะครับ. So you can see that for filtering, if you don't choose the columnนะครับ, if you don't choose the column and you try to click filter, it doesn't workนะครับ. Because as I told you, filter will work only when you choose the column first. Which column would you like to filter? And then you just like click filterนะครับ, like this one. So you can click on filterนะครับ. But sometimesนะครับ, sometimes filter might not work on some situation as wellนะครับ. For example, might not use, what do I mean? It might be useless in some situation. For example, in here, I highlight running number 2 and then I click filter. You can see that because in running number, there is no duplication among the running number at all. So when I filter, it's useless because it shows everything, every single line. นะครับ so bear in mind that in what situation that we normally don't use filtering นะครับ the first one running number. Second one, we may just like don't use it for the currency because sometimes if there are like various prices, let's say 1,000 different prices and the difference are among just the decimal points only, then we may not filter this kind of data นะครับ okay, just a little bit more. When we use filtering นะครับ what else that we may be able to use? Sometimes นะครับ let me just like show you this one. Okay, when we use, if we use running number, if you want to know that I remember that record 17 นะครับ has some products that we purchase. We, in order to choose product number record number 17, after you apply the filter, you just scroll down to see that running number 17, click OK. Then it just show you the information of that record like this นะครับ okay, this one you have to scroll and see. But sometimes if there are thousands of records and you just remember a part of the value in that column, what should you do? We can search for the records as well. You can see that there is a search box in front of the list of the data in the filtering นะครับ and then you just like type a part of the value that you know. For example, you know that value record number 17, you just type 17 in here, then it just show record number 17 for you, then just click OK. So filtering will just like filter only the record 17 for you นะครับ this is the example for searching. Same as other column as well. If I just like say that I want to know the products that are eggs, you can see that when I type egg, it just show eggs 1 dozen for us. We click OK. Then it just filter only eggs that we purchase นะครับ so this is another things that filtering can help us นะครับ to do. Okay, so this is filtering นะครับ it will be useful for you in the future for sure because normally Excel will keep like lots of data in the same worksheet. Sometimes it's 1,000, sometimes it's more than 10,000 records or 10,000 rows in your worksheet. So you have to use the filtering features to help นะครับ Why do I call it as feature? Why don't I call it as a function? The reason is because filter. Right now you can see that I apply filter to column A, B, C, D, E. It doesn't show once I go to A1, B1, C1, D1, and E1. It doesn't show the function in the function box in the formula bar at all because it's not the function นะครับ it's the features that we just like use the menu to click and choose นะครับ so that's why this one we call it as the feature, the filtering feature in Microsoft Excel นะครับ okay, so when we study for the filtering already, what's the next thing นะครับ just leave the filter like this นะครับ you don't need to just like remove it, leave it like that so that you will remember how do we gonna do the filtering in the future when you just like review for this kind of thing นะครับ for the next thing that we have to learn นะครับ we are going to talk about the pivot table นะครับ pivot table. We'll use this set of data to do the pivot table นะครับ What is the pivot table นะครับ Then you have to understand the term pivot first. Pivot means to turn นะครับ the turn table, what does it mean in this case? Pivot table is a table that help us to see some aspect of data that it might be difficult to see in the original data that you have. For example, if you have a look in this data file นะครับ it might be difficult for us to know that whether how much do we purchase from SafePath. You can see that in here it's difficult, right? Because of what? You can see that we have SafePath, whole wallet, SafePath, whole wallet. If you want to just like use the sum function, it will be difficult. Except you do like this first. You just like choose or you filter just the SafePath นะครับ and then you just find sum here. Something like this นะครับ when you use pivot table, you just drag and choose what you want and just that. Or suppose we say that we would like to know that, okay, how much do we purchase cereal? Once again, it is difficult. You have to filter for the cereal item นะครับ and then you have to sum them manually. Okay, so that's why Excel just try to think about another feature นะครับ to help us to create or to have a tool that we call it as pivot table to just like turn the data นะครับ that are just like that may not be close to each other นะครับ to just like do some operations together, for example, to sum those values, to multiply those values, to find max and min, something like that. Okay, so in this one, what are we going to do for this one? Just won't be long. Okay, for this one, for pivot table, the things that we have to do, the things that we have to do is that you have to choose the data, you have to choose the data that you want it to be in the pivot table first. So for example, in here, I want to use the data from item to week นะครับ I highlight all of them first นะครับ I have to highlight all of the data first. After that นะครับ after that we go to insert นะครับ we go to insert. You will see the pivot table is on the left hand side here. We choose pivot table นะครับ we choose pivot table. So it will pop up a box to ask you นะครับ where to analyze นะครับ which location for the pivot table that you want to use. In this one, because we highlight, because we select the range of the cells already นะครับ so in here it's from a worksheet called pivot data file from B1 to E40 นะครับ just leave it like that นะครับ you can also use external data source as well. For example, if you just like purchase the database from some company, for example, when we talk about the business, in terms of business, some of the company like Reuters, they sell the online database to you online data. So what is it for? For example, the stock exchange นะครับ in the stock market in different countries, oil price, gold price นะครับ in the market around the world นะครับ this kind of data นะครับ is just like prepared by Reuters company, and if you subscribe for those database, you can just like connect to those database and then just like do the pivot table นะครับ to analyze for those situation as well นะครับ so in this one นะครับ because we don't have the external data source นะครับ I just don't use this one, but in the future when you go for internship or when you go to work with some company นะครับ and if you are the analyst and you know that your company purchase that kind of online database you just have to contact the IT people in that company นะครับ or if you just like hold the account of those online data source นะครับ you just like contact Reuters company or the company that you purchase that online data นะครับ for the external data source location so that you can just like click and choose the connection that you can go to นะครับ but in this class we just go to this one only นะครับ the data source that we have that is in what to say this pivot data file that we have after that นะครับ we choose the location where you would like the pivot table to be located at in this one นะครับ I will use new worksheet นะครับ I will use new worksheet so in this one นะครับ in this one when we just like want to do anything with the pivot table right now after you generate the pivot table already นะครับ what will happen right now you can see that in here on the right hand side it shows pivot table field item store cost and week how can these four columns appear the reason is because if you remember in the pivot data file we chose this one right and also the heading of this data นะครับ we just like choose them as well so that's why it shows item store cost and week that means when you would like to have the pivot table the original data that you have must นะครับ you it must exist the headers as well otherwise pivot table นะครับ doesn't show anything like this นะครับ so when you have this already the next one let me explain to you first apart from the fields that you have what else do we have we have filters columns rows and value and sigma values นะครับ so filter means that how do you want to filter the data นะครับ columns means that what field นะครับ or what value you would like to display them in column rows means that what value you would like to display in the row oriented and values means that what value would you like to show for example sometimes it might be product price per unit and quantity then you may multiply them together or if you would like to find the average or if you would like to find the max or min you can just like choose the functions in this box as well the way that we do with the pivot table is that if you want any column or any fields to be shown in column or rows นะครับ you just drag them into the blank box in here so in this one นะครับ so in this one the first one นะครับ I say that okay I want to see the let's say store นะครับ I want to see the store นะครับ so I want to see store in column hang on no in rows okay I drag store to row นะครับ you can see that in here when I drag store to row on the left hand side it shows different rows that are safe path and whole wallet นะครับ you can see that after that I said that I want to know the revenue the cost that I purchased from SafePath and whole wallet in different week then the week will be set in different column นะครับ then I choose week นะครับ and drag it to columns okay you can see that it is 1 2 3 4 right 1 2 3 4 that is week number นะครับ and after that นะครับ and after that you can see that in here it's still the blank value นะครับ it's still the blank value here นะครับ on the highlighted cell that I have so in here I said that I want the cost to be displayed in here นะครับ I want the cost to be displayed in here I drag cost to values นะครับ so you can see that once we drag cost to the values already, it has like the sum of cost here. That means it just like sum the valuesนะครับ that we purchased from SafePath and Whole Wallet in different week นะครับ they sum every value for us. So what does it mean? If I go to the original data, you can see that, okay, for the SafePath, let me just like talk about SafePath first. Sum of value means that in week 1 they sum this value together for youนะครับ you can see that, okay, if I just like sum this, let's see how much. Okay, I go to auto sum and then I sum this. Okay, you can see that in here it show 45 43. If you go to pivot table report, here is 45 43. You can see that instead of just like doing manually, you can do straight away in the pivot table นะครับ and also if you don't want the sum, I mean in some of the pivot table, you may multiply some values together. For example, if you have just product price per unit and you have quantity, you may multiply them together. In here, the way to choose นะครับ different functions than sum, you just go to click on the drop down list and then choose value field setting and then choose what you want to have นะครับ the function from this one นะครับ so if you don't want that value to be displayed in column or rows or value anymore, you just like click and then choose remove field นะครับ or you just drag it นะครับ and then return it back to its original state นะครับ then it will be just like clear out that box for you นะครับ then I bring it back once again. So right now you can see that we have the total price นะครับ that we purchased from different shops นะครับ in different week นะครับ we can do like this. So when you decide to have the pivot table, you have to think first นะครับ you have to think first how do you gonna organize this data or this table to look like. For example, I told you that, okay, I want the SafePath and Whole Wallet, the name of the store นะครับ in different rows, and I want week in different columns นะครับ it will look like this. But if I just like didn't plan everything ahead นะครับ what will happen? If I say that I have store in column in rows and item in column and cost in value, you can see that this one, it is difficult to read นะครับ because I mean like you can see that right now we have just like not many products and it spans to many column already นะครับ let's say this one we have just 12 products only, but let's imagine that if we have like hundreds of products, it will be difficult for us นะครับ in order to see the data. So organizing the data in this way doesn't look nice. But okay, while if we're talking about like another situation, when you just like put item in the row and store in the column instead, this one looks better นะครับ this one looks better. And for somebody said, what about I want to say that I put what to say the week to the rows as well, what will it look like? You can see that in this one it's difficult to read as well. It said that in here, if you see, we buy cereal in week 1 from SafePath, week 2 from Whole Wallet. See that this is difficult to read. Normally we don't do this one นะครับ it is difficult to read. And what about like we apply the week with the store as well? This one นะครับ it might look a bit better นะครับ but you can see that in here SafePath นะครับ in week 1 and week 3 we purchase these products, and then it has SafePath total, means that it shows like how much do we purchase from SafePath นะครับ in here นะครับ for different products. It depends on like different set of data นะครับ that we have. And by the way, when we have pivot table, on the rightmost column or on the lowest row, it always shows the total for us นะครับ for example in here the grand total that we have นะครับ in column H here let's see the row number 6 cereal 14 ounce box นะครับ in this one you can see that grand total 1473 come from 798 plus 675 นะครับ so you get 14.73 it just like have the grand total from SafePath plus whole wallet นะครับ for that product okay so this is the way that we use pivot table นะครับ okay I remove week out because it make us confused นะครับ next นะครับ you can see that when we have pivot table it is possible that we may click on somewhere else นะครับ from the table and that kind of like the list of the field on the right hand side is disappeared. How do we gonna bring it back นะครับ because in this one if we just like see like this we can't control the pivot table นะครับ then you just have to click on any cells นะครับ in this pivot table this one I click already then it just like come back for the pivot table fields นะครับ then you can just like do anything with the pivot table field but what if you accidentally close the pivot table field here นะครับ you can see that right now even we go back to these cells the pivot table field doesn't show up what are we going to do นะครับ in order to bring that pivot table fields back so that we can control it firstly you click on any cells in this pivot table and then you go to analyze menu once you go to analyze menu นะครับ once you go to analyze menu you click field list click on field list then it just come back to you once again นะครับ so that you can control it นะครับ okay so in this one นะครับ oh I forget to talk about filters you can also have the filtering features in pivot table as well assume that I choose week as a filter what will happen in this one you can choose which week that you would like to see as well นะครับ in this one if we say that I want to choose just week 2 นะครับ so this one it just show the data for you and any data that is not exist is that does not exist นะครับ in that week it will be hidden in the pivot table too for example in week 2 we purchase from whole wallet only นะครับ so that's why it doesn't show นะครับ it doesn't show the data from another shop that is SafePath นะครับ on the other way around if you choose week 1 let's say it shows just SafePath it doesn't show whole wallet the reason is because we didn't purchase from whole wallet in week number 1 นะครับ this is the way that we use filtering นะครับ it will help filter the data in your pivot table นะครับ okay so in this one before I move on to the next thing in pivot table do you have any questions to ask okay if you don't have any questions นะครับ before I move on to the next one everyone please save your file first because the next thing that I'll just teach you it might be possible that some of your Excel might be freezing or restarting นะครับ it's a bug or some errors in Excel นะครับ then save your file first otherwise you will lose this data นะครับ okay so let me remove the filter out first hang on I don't need to remove I choose all of the data I choose all okay yeah so the next one that we will talk about is what we call data visualization นะครับ this is the introduction to data visualization that you have to know นะครับ for the first part นะครับ before we have the midterm exam the data visualization will be done through Microsoft Excel นะครับ only นะครับ but after the midterm examination we will focus on data visualization by using another tool instead นะครับ now we talk about data visualization in Microsoft Excel first in Microsoft Excel it prepares many data visualization tools for us. What does it mean by data visualization? Data visualization, if we are talking about visual นะครับ visual is to see นะครับ it's about like seeing. Now to see the data, what does it mean? Data visualization นะครับ data visualization is the tools in Microsoft Excel that help us in order to view the data นะครับ in order to view the data in terms of pictures or not pictures, graphical ways instead of numbers. What's wrong with the number? Number is not wrong ครับ but the problem is that if you have like hundreds or thousands of records, it might be like useless for you in the meeting room, because in the meeting room in here, suppose you see the data like this. Hang on, let me just show all the data first. If we ask you that, okay, can you tell me how much did I purchase from SafePath? It will be very difficult because you have to just like operate or run, or just like submit, and it wastes the time in the meeting room. In the meeting room, just one glance on the screen, you should see the data and tell anything about the data already. So that's why we just like rarely use like the raw data like this in the meeting room, but we use data visualization to show that data in graphical ways instead นะครับ okay, so that's why we just like, or we have one click or one tap to see that data quickly. So that's why we have to understand the data visualization tools. In this class นะครับ I will talk about couple of tools that will be used together นะครับ we will call that techniques นะครับ or the data visualization tools in terms of pivot charts and slicers นะครับ I will use these two tools together นะครับ okay, now I go back to pivot table report first นะครับ everyone save your file first นะครับ because as I told you, it might be freezing or restarting นะครับ if you don't save, you lost this file, and then when I go to the next tool, you cannot just like catch up easily. Now let's talk about pivot chart first นะครับ pivot chart is the extension part from pivot table that we have. It uses the data from pivot table to prepare a chart for you นะครับ so let's see the pivot chart example first from the data that we have in this pivot table นะครับ okay, so firstly you just click on any cells in this pivot table นะครับ from this one we will go to create the pivot chart นะครับ so in here นะครับ in here you go to insert นะครับ you click on insert menu นะครับ and after that in the chart group นะครับ in the chart group you see a button called pivot chart. Click on the drop down list from pivot chart and then choose pivot chart นะครับ so this one pivot chart will automatically choose the data from your pivot table that you, because I told you to click on any cell in the pivot table before to create a chart. After that, you just choose the chart that you would like to see นะครับ that you would like to see. For example, if I say that I want this kind of chart, the cluster column charts in here นะครับ and I think that it's okay for me. I click OK. Bear in mind that when you create anything about pivot chart or slicer or data visualization tools that are related to pivot table, you have to always save that file นะครับ now I save it again นะครับ now this is what we call pivot chart. It's the chart about your pivot table. It shows different products นะครับ different products นะครับ from it shows the total cost that you purchase from different products in different shops. The shop or the store นะครับ show us for the um, different colors นะครับ orange or blue. And apart from that one, because our pivot table, we also have used the filter นะครับ by week. That's why it shows week in your pivot chart as well นะครับ it shows week in the pivot chart as well. This one you can just like click and choose. So what is the good things in this pivot chart? In the meeting room นะครับ in the meeting room, if you show this chart นะครับ in the meeting room, you can just click to choose week, and then the audience in your meeting room will see immediately นะครับ for different kind of values นะครับ that should be displayed, and you see the movements as well นะครับ you see the movement as well when you just like choose like different weeks, and you can also choose store as well นะครับ something like that. Okay, so for the pivot chart, what else that we can use as the visualization tools? You can see that in here. Let's imagine that if you are in the meeting room, it is difficult to just like control the mouse like this because the button week is like very tiny. Then we have the tool that is what we call slicer to help us นะครับ for controlling the chart for us นะครับ for controlling the chart for us. So for the slicer here นะครับ what is it? Slicer is a tool that we use to slice the data นะครับ into chunks, and then it will be easily be displayed on the chart นะครับ and we can also easily choose it นะครับ while we are displaying this kind of chart. When you are using your PC นะครับ or your Mac นะครับ for your own use, it is not difficult to control นะครับ even though you don't have the slicer. But in the meeting room, believe me, it will be useful for you because it can be easily controlled, especially for anyone who display your chart by using the iPad. The easiest thing that you do is that you just tap on the screen easily นะครับ when you are in the meeting room, you put your iPad on the table and you just tap it. It can be easily seen นะครับ then just like find out where the week button located and then tap, and you can see that because the size of the button is quite small. Now let's talk about slicer. Where is it? In order to have the slicer นะครับ in order to have the slicer, we just move the mouse pointer to be on our pivot table first. Any cells in the pivot table นะครับ just click on the pivot table, so the pivot table field list will be displayed. Okay, now we go to I save it again. We go to insert menu นะครับ we go to insert menu. You can see that on the right hand side นะครับ of the pivot chart, you will see slicer นะครับ you will see slicer. It's here. Just won't be long. The slicer is here นะครับ you click on slicer นะครับ now the slicer will ask you that what slice would you like to do. You can slice by item, by store, by cost, or by week. In this case, let me just like add two slicers here. First, I want to slice the data by store. Next, I also want to slice the data by week นะครับ and then I click OK. Once I click OK, it will pop up two slicer for us นะครับ not click inside yet นะครับ just wait for me. Okay, I put them in different part of the screen because now the screen is almost full. Then I save my file once again. Okay, next นะครับ when we have two slicer already, let's see the meaning or the description of the slicer first. On the top left corner of the slicer, it shows the slicer by the column that you have. Here, it's sliced by week. week 1 2 3 4 inside it shows button นะครับ these buttons นะครับ these buttons show us these buttons show us for like all possible values นะครับ of that columns we have week 1 to week 4 while on the store slicer we have two possible values safe path and whole wallet. So why do I choose like this kind of slicer? Let's see นะครับ if I choose the slicer by if I choose a slicer by product it will be useless in this sense. I choose slicer. Hang on. I have to click on the pivot table first before I choose slicer นะครับ then I choose slicer and then I choose item. You can see that this one is almost useless because we have so many products in here นะครับ and it's difficult to choose นะครับ so that's why this one you may have to think first what kind of thing would you like to slice นะครับ okay so in here I want to slice by week or by store นะครับ let's see after I save this file all the values right now they are in blue color what do they mean blue color means here we have like selected all weeks and we selected all store in here suppose I would like to choose store นะครับ I want to choose just store I want to see just safe path what will happen and how can I do the things that I have to do is that I click on safe path you can see that right now the chart is changed already if I go to whole wallet the chart is changed and the value inside my pivot table is changed as well นะครับ and also if I just choose week 1 safe path it show us like this right now let's see on week นะครับ on week slicer you can see that it shows 1 3 2 4 why don't it shows as 1 2 3 4 the reason is because the other slicer safe path we had the transaction when we purchased a product in week 1 and week 3 only there's no data in week 2 and week 4 so that means if you choose 2 and 4 there's nothing in the chart because we never purchased anything from safe path during week 2 and 4 นะครับso but if you just like go to week 1 and 3 they have the data now what if we would like to reset the slicers to show everything you can see that right now on each slicer it has a funnel shape here นะครับ that is showing funnel and X means that you can clear the filter if you click X it means clear the filter นะครับclear the filter so everything will be shown in here properly นะครับ so when you put pivot chart นะครับ and slices together this technique in data visualization we call it as dashboard is like your car นะครับ you can see that right now the modern model of cars นะครับ see you the dashboard the picture of dashboard clearly because it shows all related things that the drivers need to know นะครับ including speed นะครับ including the mileage including just like the temperature of your engine the status of your engine and so on everything can be controlled on one screen นะครับ same as this one you can control all the data related to this pivot table นะครับ in terms of pivot chart in terms of the slicers in here นะครับ by using this kind of thing นะครับ so I can tell you that in the midterm exam นะครับ you have to create a dashboard as well so don't be confused นะครับ if you are asked to create a dashboard that means you have to use the pivot chart and slicers together to create dashboard นะครับ and also sometimes people we may just like apart from this นะครับ this is the chart for products นะครับ and shops or store that we purchase the product from, you may create different charts in the same worksheet as well นะครับ and then control by different slicer like this. It's a part of the dashboard as well. So let me just like insert another pivot chart นะครับ I just like show the pivot chart in term of pie. Okay, here you can see that in here. Now the dashboard is more complete because I also have the slicer with 2 charts นะครับ okay. After that, if I add another chart, hang on, I insert the chart, the pivot chart, one more chart. I want to show them in the area chart as well. Okay. So now let's see นะครับ what happened when I control these charts นะครับ when I control these charts by slicer นะครับ I save it first. When I control it by slicer, you can see that in here. All charts นะครับ will be moved นะครับ according to the slicer that I choose. That's why we call this one as dashboard, because you have like different values นะครับ that is like moving in different chart and also in the pivot table as well. So that's why we call this kind of thing as a dashboard นะครับ okay, right. So this is pivot table, pivot chart, and slicers that we bring them together to create a dashboard. Up to this point, do you have any questions ครับ for this example? I want you to practice นะครับ just like use this data set to create pivot table, pivot chart, and then just like play with the pivot chart and slicers นะครับ because like if you can just like do it quickly นะครับ another thing that you also have to do is that you have to also analyze that whether your chart นะครับ and slicer it just like makes sense or not, because it will be useful when you choose different type of chart properly นะครับ and also different fields for the slicers properly, because you can see that if I have the pivot chart and slicer like this, it looks okay. But if you choose a slicer นะครับ if you choose a slicer นะครับ differently, so in here I choose I pick a cell in pivot table, click insert, and then I go to slicer. Now I choose cost and click OK. You can see that the cost slicer here, it's almost useless. You can see that it's so variety, too many lines in the cost. Actually, you have to just like, you have to know that in here นะครับ you have to know that in here นะครับ the slicer should be able to be controlled in just like one page, but this one is so much you have to just scroll. That means in this one it will be very difficult นะครับ in here, so that's why you have to know about this kind of thing นะครับ okay, right. So if you don't want that slicer, what will you do? You just like go to that slicer นะครับ right click and then choose remove that slicer out นะครับ it will be removed นะครับ okay, then I leave this dashboard to be like this so that you can play with it. For anyone who cannot just like catch up for the dashboard and the pivot table, pivot chart, and slicers นะครับ I'll just like try to edit the videos for lecture for this lecture นะครับ as soon as I can. It might be just like tomorrow นะครับ so you will see it on the link on e-learning นะครับ and I will also just upload this current file, my first book as well, so that it will be easy for you to just like catch up later นะครับ for this one. Okay, so when you learn for the pivot table and its features in data visualization already นะครับ just like talk about like some other functions a bit นะครับ before we finish the class today นะครับ so the next function that we will talk about is sum if นะครับ sum if s and then sum product นะครับ okay so right now if you are inside the e-learning already please refresh the screen นะครับ please refresh the screen so that you will see another file that I activate for you this file นะครับ is called sum if s นะครับ this file is called as sum if s you just download that file นะครับ and copy it to your my first book นะครับ okay okay so let me just open up that file นะครับ okay this is the file that we have for sum if s นะครับ and sum product I'll copy this file this worksheet นะครับ sum if s นะครับ to my first book then I right click on the tab sum if s นะครับ and then create a copy choose my first book นะครับ and then click OK so I have this file this worksheet already sum if s นะครับ in the past I use it for filtering as well but right now I just like show you the filtering features already นะครับ now let's see for this one นะครับ you can see that this one looks similar to like the safe path and whole wallet things นะครับ because this one is a transaction นะครับ this is transaction why do I just like show you the data like this because in reality นะครับ when you work with any company นะครับ they will have most of the company around the world they have a system นะครับ that is called as POS especially for the company that is retail business นะครับ POS system POS system stand for point of sales system it's a system to record all of the sales transactions in your company นะครับ for example in 7-Eleven if you go there you see that the POS system is located in the cashier station so that means when you would like to buy anything นะครับ you just put in the basket and then just like put give it to the cashier will scan and tell you the price and when you pay the money to them they give you the change and print you the receipt the machine นะครับ or cash registration machine inside there is a POS system it knows the price of the product it records the price for each sale that you purchase also it records the amount of money that you give to the cashier and the amount that cashier give the change to you นะครับ that is the POS system inside นะครับ when the transactions happen when the sales transaction happen it records the data like this นะครับ it records the data like this so at the end of the day we may download this file นะครับ and use it for other purposes นะครับ for a small supermarket or the retail business where you have just like one or two different POS system or POS machine but for the large company นะครับ they may want to analyze the sales they may want to just like order the products from supplier this kind of sales transaction will be uploaded automatically or will be synced automatically to their database server นะครับ in the headquarters and at the end of the day it may analyze นะครับ for this sales transaction they may know that okay what item is a top sale they may know that okay which product that is like almost out of stock นะครับ something like that now let's see for this POS system what data is generated from this POS in this one it tell us นะครับ it tell us that okay when นะครับ when was this transaction occur นะครับ so it's appear in the date column นะครับ who is our customer who is the sales representative what product that we sold to the customer นะครับ how much นะครับ how much is the price how much is the quantity sorry how many items นะครับ not how much how many items that the customer purchased from us how much did they pay to us how did they pay by cash or by credit card นะครับ this is the details from this POS system นะครับ okay so right now นะครับ for this one the point that I just want to show you is that okay in this one นะครับ I will use the amount paid นะครับ I want to know that how much did Suzanne purchase from us how much did Suzanne purchase from us you can see that in here because Suzanne transactions are not connected to each other นะครับ it's scattered around okay let me highlight for what Suzanne purchased from us first นะครับ okay okay so in here นะครับ you can see that you may have to add 380 with 998 with 160 what with 160 and then you get how much did Suzanne purchase from us somebody made it easier they filter นะครับ they may filter the data first okay and see Susan and after that they just sum them up นะครับ this might be the way that somebody do นะครับ in here นะครับ this is how much Susan purchased from us but we have easier way sometimes we don't want to filter นะครับ and do like this because it wastes a lot of time we will use the function that we call as SUMIF นะครับ we have the function that we call SUMIF to help SUMIF is the function นะครับ in Microsoft Excel SUMIF is a function in Microsoft Excel that help us นะครับ that help us in order to sum นะครับ the data according to its condition นะครับ so that's why we call it as SUMIF นะครับ for example we want to sum the amount paid นะครับ if the seller is Susan นะครับ if the seller is Susan นะครับ so the seller is Susan is the condition นะครับ that we put into the if นะครับ something like that another function that we would like to know that we need to know is what we call SUMIFS นะครับ so let me just like explain the concept a bit first and then next time I'll talk about this function in details นะครับ you can see that SUMIFS นะครับ is a SUMIF but we have a letter S behind what does it mean SUMIFS is a function to sum นะครับ according to the condition as well but when we have S that means we have more than one condition for example you want to sum the amount paid นะครับ when the seller is Susan for the transaction that she sold book sorry she sold food นะครับ so that means you cannot just use Susan as the condition นะครับ it's not enough we want to just like sum only when Susan sell food นะครับ if Susan sell other things we don't sum it something like that so in this case นะครับ for SUMIF you can sum for everything that Susan sell นะครับ but for SUMIFS now you can add another criteria if we say that okay we would like to sum just only the transaction that Susan sell food you can see that in here Susan she sold food okay in here right it's the same as when you do the filtering นะครับ when you do data filtering firstly you filter Susan and after that in goods you filter food only so that means you want to sum this one 160 with 160 and then you get 320 something like that นะครับ this is SUMIFS so both of the functions used whenever you have different number of conditions นะครับ that takes into account okay so in details of some if and some if s I will talk about on the next class นะครับ I will talk about it on the next class up to this point do you have any questions okay so if you don't have any questions นะครับ I will upload my first book file to you นะครับ and I will also upload the video นะครับ the video might be a bit slow because I have to just like render it first before I upload to YouTube นะครับ so it takes some time okay and let me just like remind you once again our midterm examination will be on Sunday the 21st นะครับ during 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. it's on Sunday นะครับ and also it will be on the it will be online examination so that means you have to do it from home นะครับ because on campus the computer lab will be closed on that day because firstly it is Sunday Sunday evening second one for MUIC นะครับ this term all the examination must be the online exam so that's why you have to do it from home นะครับ okay so if you don't have any questions นะครับ everyone would you please turn on your camera ครับ okay just won't be long นะครับ okay Saruda ครับ I see just the yellow screen นะครับ Saruda please check